The 1970s were supposed to be the golden age of American cars. Big engines, big bodies, and big dreams. But instead, it became one of the worst decades in automotive history. These cars were heavy, slow, unreliable, and inefficient. The legendary Jeremy Clarkson once explored this in Motorworld, and today, we're diving deeper into why 1970s American cars were just truly awful. On paper, these machines looked powerful. They had huge V8 engines, massive hoods, and that classic muscle car styling. But in reality, most of them were painfully slow. New emission laws, the looming oil crisis, and frankly, poor engineering turned these would-be muscle machines into overweight dinosaurs. They looked fast standing still, but once you hit the gas, the illusion completely fell apart. They were all show and no go, and it wasn't just the lack of power. These cars were not built for actual driving. They were designed for long, straight American highways. The suspension was incredibly soft, making them feel like boats on water. The brakes were weak, the steering was vague, and taking a corner at any kind of speed was a terrifying experience. You had almost no real control. Compared to the precise engineering coming out of Europe at the time, American cars felt clumsy and unfinished. The problems continued on the inside. Open the door and you'd find a sea of cheap plastics, poor wiring, and weak materials. The build quality was just terrible, doors rattled, dashboards cracked in the sun, and the engines were known for overheating. These cars were physically big, but the attention to quality was incredibly small. They were designed to look impressive from a distance, but up close, the flaws were impossible to ignore. They simply weren't built to last. Then came the final nail in the coffin, the oil crisis. This disaster exposed just how out of touch American car manufacturers were. Their massive engines and terrible fuel economy made no sense in a world where gas was suddenly expensive and scarce. While Japanese and European brands adapted quickly with smaller, more efficient cars, American companies were slow, stubborn, and stuck in the past. It was a wake-up call they weren't ready for. In his show Motorworld, Jeremy Clarkson perfectly summed up the issue. He showed how American cars focused more on size than substance. It was all about more chrome, more steel, and more bulk, but there was less intelligence, less engineering, and almost no innovation. While American cars were struggling, Europe was perfecting handling and engineering, and Japan was mastering reliability and efficiency. The 1970s weren't just a bad era for American cars, they were a lesson. A lesson that size doesn't equal quality, raw power doesn't equal real-world performance, and flashy design doesn't make up for poor engineering. And that's why 1970s American cars are remembered not as legends, but as big, beautiful mistakes. Thanks for watching.